Project 2025 director Steve Bannon admits they're all going to prison if Trump gets impeached. We've been saying this over the last few videos, and now they're coming out and saying it. Trump said yesterday he's going to go to prison if he gets impeached, and now Steve Bannon is saying it. But he didn't just say him and Trump are going to prison. He said many people in this room are also going to prison. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order. Right? We have to codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills and pass Senate. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast. Even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys that liked, and some of these institutions, I understand. This is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it, and I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it, and these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, the limited government constitutionalist in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this seize the institutions. If we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever, because you're never going to have another Trump.
These people are absolutely spiraling, and if there's one thing he is correct about, he's right. There will never be another Donald Trump. Without him, they crumble. These people are in such a panic, they don't even have a strategy. Their main game plan is terminating the filibuster. However, they can't change the rules to a filibuster unless they get 60 out of 100 votes, which they cannot get. But there is a choice called the nuclear option, where if the presiding officer agrees to go through with it, they only need 51 out of 100 votes and can terminate the filibuster. And a filibuster is a vote in the Senate that requires 60 out of 100 votes to pass any bill, which is why Trump wants to remove it, because right now he can get about 55 votes. And if the filibuster were to be removed through the nuclear option, things would get drastic very quickly, because Trump now has the authority to pass any bill he wants for as long as at least 51 senators remain loyal to him. And he already has 55 right now. But if the Republicans do remove the filibuster, then they have nobody to blame all of their failures on. It technically works in their favor because it's perfect for their propaganda. And to be clear, they could have used the nuclear option to end the government shutdown a month ago, but they chose not to. Why? Because how else are they going to convince everybody that Democrats want to give illegal aliens money? And how else will they blame raising everybody's health premiums on the Democrats? It's also perfect right now because Adelita Grijalva can't get sworn in and be the final vote to release the Epstein files. Also note that Mike Johnson sent a bunch of Republicans on vacation during this government shutdown. They do not care, but this does work to their advantage. It helps make their lives more believable and allows them to buy time. And terminating the filibuster isn't necessarily going to stop everybody from voting Democrats in when the midterms come. Matter of fact, it would probably be even worse for them because they have nobody to blame for not passing bills or legislation, or for passing bills and legislation that further destroy the country. This is a very desperate option and they are spiraling. So if they decide to terminate the filibuster, then Democrats take power and impeach Trump anyway, because now they only need 51 votes to get everything done that they want to get done. The consequences would be absolutely devastating for them. And I hope that provides a better understanding of just how desperate these people are for calling on this in the first place. Trump is begging for this, but the same way he didn't understand the consequences of tariffs is the same way he probably doesn't understand the consequences of terminating the filibuster. Another angle to think about this is, if Democrats tend to be in power longer than Republicans do, then it's easy to see who would hold the advantage, especially when midterms are 1 year away. Think of it as a mutual agreement of Republicans and Democrats not to break the House rules, because once the cat's out of the bag, it's up and it's stuck. And if you really want to see how much of a panic these people are in, Trump is lying to his own Republicans, because he doesn't understand House rules that the Democrats are going to terminate the filibuster. And personally, I think the main problem with this is if Republicans do use the nuclear option to terminate the filibuster, they're basically relinquishing all their power to Donald Trump, because he's the one with the game plan, and he would essentially have total control over the US, violating checks and balances, which was in Project 2025's plan. So it's interesting that both Trump and Steve Bannon, one of the authors of Project 2025, are both saying the same thing, but these two both know they're going to prison so we can see why they're in such a panic. Let's see what Trump said about the filibuster.
Legislation at levels you've never seen before, and it'll be impossible to beat us. By the way, if they do, they're going to do it anyway, and they are going to immediately do the filibuster. And when they do the filibuster, they're going to pack the court. They want at least five justices. Now I hear it's up to 5. I actually heard up to 7 and up to 9, okay? They want new judges. They want to pack the court, and they will do it in the first day, maybe the week. Maybe they'll slow it down because there's no reason to rush. But they'll do it first week. They'll vote on this. And I have friends over there that are Democrats. I'm close to a lot of people. And I asked them about that because some people say, well, maybe they won't do that. I mean, they destroyed the career of Manchin and Sinema, and they got them out. They were the only objectors. Nobody else is going to object. They're going to do it the first day. They're going to pack the court. They're going to make D.C. a state, and they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. So now they pick up 2 states. They pick up 4 senators, okay? You think you have problems? They're going to do all of the things. They're going to pick up electoral votes. It's going to be a very, very bad situation. And it's done. It's done. As soon as they attain power. Now, if we do what I'm saying, they'll most likely never attain power because we will have passed every single thing that you can imagine that it's good and all good for the country. And there'll be no reason to. If we don't do that, people will say they're not doing much and they're in power. So the good news is we did the great, big, beautiful bill, and it's the greatest thing we could have done.
Now, please explain to us what you meant by they will never be able to obtain power ever again. Because that sounds like conspiracy to overthrow the government. And violating checks and balances is against our Constitution. As a matter of fact, checks and balances are in place to prevent a dictator from taking over. Trump lies to America, Trump lies to MAGA, Trump lies to his own Republicans. This sounds like less of a strategy and more like a threat. We've said in previous videos that Trump seems to think the entire world is like MAGA. And the people he's been paying off to lie to MAGA, he's now lying to them. So if you think Trump won't turn his back on you at first moment's notice, the second he gets what he wants, the same way he did it to MAGA and refused to pay their SNAP, which he now has to by federal court order for the second time, this would be the biggest mistake and the worst road to go down. If you thought Trump was a psychopath before, you do not want to give a desperate psychopath more power. He might actually destroy this country. It's also interesting how the filibuster is a house rule that senators are supposed to discuss, yet they have the president telling them what to do about their house. I mean, this is the same guy that let the government be shut down, didn't want to use the nuclear option then, because then they would have to take accountability for everybody's healthcare premiums going up and every other bad thing in the bill they forced to pass. There's nobody to blame anymore. You have to take accountability for your mess now. Adelita Grijalva will get sworn in and the Epstein files will get released. We are so close to checkmate. This is really one of the only options they have at this point. And if you ask me, Trump can't do anything too extreme because just like MAGA, his own Republicans might start to turn on him as well. And here's Trump being asked about SNAP when a federal judge forced him to pay this by Friday now. Let's see what he had to say.
A federal judge said tonight that the administration has to fully fund SNAP. It's the latest in the back and forth, and the Justice Department said they're going to appeal it. What's your message to folks as they work this out in the courts and in Congress as we're heading into Thanksgiving?
You want to go with that?
Yeah, look, Jackie, it's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown.
Ah, yes, Trump. Have J.D. Vance take the brunt of the attack that you do not care about starving children. If you're aware enough to know this is a bad thing and it looks terrible on you, why do it? Why not do the right thing? It's not like paying the SNAP recipients is going to end the government shutdown. You still get what you want in that sense. Oh, wait, he wants these people to feel pain so we can blame the Democrats on it. So we can blame the radical left lunatics. But the only lunatic we have is the current standing president. This you? And if the only reason they want to stay in power is to stay out of prison, then we were right the whole time that they have absolutely no plan on how to lead or govern this country. They've been in it for themselves the whole time. They are there to benefit, take, and manipulate. And hold on, Steve Bannon, didn't Elon Musk say you were in the Epstein files? So that's what he meant by he's going to prison. How distasteful. Come midterms, every single dirty thing these people have done is going to be uncovered. From accepting bribes, giving them. We need to see Trump's financial records, all of them. I mean, he's already a felon for falsifying business documents. In what world would we make somebody like that the president? Because he was running against a woman? So the guy that destroyed the economy the first time is destroying the economy again. The "this is what I voted for" crowd is going out sad. And it gets worse for them because not only is MAGA and Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Republicans turning on Trump, Tucker Carlson is turning on Trump. Wow, didn't see that one coming. Let's see what he had to say about that.
What you mean, because when you were winding up on, the Republican Party has abandoned young men, I was with you. Both parties have abandoned young men, especially the Democrats, though, for so many other reasons. But why Israel? You're saying the focus?
Because all the
focus
energy.
is over there.
Yeah, I mean, look, Trump is elected. I campaigned for him and I love Trump. I just want to say that. And I've known him for 25 years. But the second he gets elected, who's the first person to visit? Bibi. Then he comes again. Then he comes again. And it's like the energy of the administration and of the entire U.S. government is all of a sudden about Iran. A war with Iran? Really? How many people do you know who've been killed by Iran in the United States in your lifetime? 0, because that's the number. How many people do you know who've died of a drug OD? Some. Maybe you have a nephew who did. So, like, what is this? I know you want to have regime change in Iran. I'm not mad at Israel at all. I'm not actually mad at Israel. I'm mad at our leaders for spending their time and my money focusing on someone else's country. And then I'm doubly mad because that's a total betrayal of the promise, which is your government works for you because you own the government, because it's a democratic republic. Like, what the hell is going on? And then if you say anything about it, it's like, you're a Nazi, you're an anti-Semite. Well, actually, I'm not. And I'm in a really great place to say that because I'm really am not. And no matter how many times they say that, it doesn't bother me because in fact, by the way, I think they are attacking me because I'm pretty reasonable. Like, who would disagree with what I'm saying? Maybe you do. Okay, you do, but...
Rule number 1 of MAGA: never speak out against Trump, never disagree with the cult, or you're removed. You cannot have an independent thought, but the only way we get our country back is by having independent thoughts. And last but not least, Trump shows for the 5th time why he is unfit to lead this country. Because after all of these devastating losses, his lack of plan is really starting to show. He had no plan to change Obamacare, but complains about it all the time because low-income people get to save money on their health care. And now he's complaining about paying anybody for SNAP, alluding to him wanting to get rid of it in the future. These people never had a plan. These people never had a plan for Americans. They had a plan to enrich themselves and make billionaires richer. I can't believe they're actually performing worse. So let's take a look at this video.
A number. We have to remain liquid. We can't give everything away based on a number. Here's an example. When I was president, the number that you're talking about was a tiny fraction of what it is now. Biden went totally crazy, gave it to anybody that would ask, gave it to people that were able-bodied, had no problem. Anybody that would ask, we get the number. And it's many times the number of people are on. This wasn't meant for that. It was meant for people that had real problems, in many cases people that were down and out, people that could be saved. It wasn't meant for people that could do whatever they want, the people that say, well, I don't think I'll work, I'll just, collect this money. Take a look at the number of what it was during my administration and what it was during the Biden administration. It went up many, many times my first term.
So not only is Trump getting people fired from their jobs, but he doesn't want to assist them either. He's willing to start a whole new homeless epidemic. This is coming from a man who's never even had to fathom a day that he would need assistance with anything because he was born into millions into his father's legacy. What an insane turn of events that all the truth is coming out. They have lied so much that there is no more lies to tell. Every time they speak, the truth leaks out just a little bit more. And the truth is, these people have no idea what they're doing with this country, and they do not want to help anybody but themselves. We saw that with the government shutdown. And with that being said, release the Epstein files, Donald Trump, and swear in Adelita Grijalvo, Mike Johnson, you traitors. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.